All right, let's do this. Hey, it is Audacy Las Vegas and Audacy Sports. And guess what? They were here a couple months ago. They're coming back. It's time for us to talk about some wrestling because Impact Wrestling will be here February 24th, 25th, 26th. No surrender at Samstown Live. Fallout Night 1, Fallout Night 2. And because of that, we're talking to a guy who lives here in Las Vegas and is a part of Impact Wrestling. Kenny King, how you doing today, man?
What's going on, my man? Good, thanks for having me on.
No, it's a pleasure. It's good to meet. I know this is the first time we've been talking. I'm looking forward to this because we've had some interactions on Twitter without even really knowing each other. And we have a lot of similarities in our background. We both spent a lot of time in Florida, Tampa specifically. We both live here in Vegas now. And I know you're a Bucks fan. And since we are a sports station, I want to start here because obviously Tom Brady's been your guys' quarterback the past 2 seasons. Vegas has been wanting him for a long time. Where do you think Tom Brady's going to end up next year if he decides to play?
Uh, you know, the smart money says Tom Brady ends up behind a commentator desk, right? He's already got this big deal with Fox, and really, had he done that in the first place, he might still have a family. But, you know, I don't know. It really just depends
That's
on
a
what
crazy sentence, especially since it's true. But
it's
yeah.
true, right? It's a true statement. So, I think that really depends on Tom. I mean, I think just as a fan, I'm a Tampa Bay fan, right? But I'm a Tom Brady fan, but I'm a Tampa Bay fan with or without Tom Brady. So if any quarterback not named Tom Brady had played for any team the way that he played for Tampa last year, they wouldn't be worried. He wouldn't really have his pick of the litter to go anywhere else, right? So he could
Injured
end up in.
offensive line, though, too, is I would try to be at his defense. They were banged up this year, but you're right. Wasn't the
We were
greatest year.
Yeah, we were banged up, but I mean, and we couldn't run the ball. But I mean, if you look at that Dallas game, who was that guy, right? That was close to Jameis Winston and Tom Brady. So, if he could come to Vegas. I don't know if that's the move they want to make. If they want to take Carr out and put in Brady, but if they want to move laterally, not up. But he's Tom Brady, man. He can write his own ticket.
And it probably wouldn't be good for his family if he's trying to get that back. But hey, and look, I wanted to ask you about Tom Brady for a couple of reasons. Obviously, the connection to Tampa. But you two guys are both have been a part of your guys' craft and really been doing it a long time for your guys' crafts, both in wrestling and in football. And this is almost to the day. I think it was February 3rd, 2022, when you came back to Impact. So it's been almost a year. And I know we're doing this interview so that we can get people ready for No Surrender, but I know you also have some news. So if you want to let people know what's going on with your future, please do.
Well, the news is that your boy's staying put, man. I felt like I had a really good year in Impact Wrestling. I feel like there's so much more. There's so many more things to do. There's so many more opponents that I've never even faced. Josh Alexander, Moose, Steve Macklin. That's just a short list of guys that I'm eyeing, I'm targeting. I feel like we can make magic together. So I've signed another year deal with Impact Wrestling. The King, King, will remain in Impact Wrestling for the foreseeable future, or at least this year. So I'm really happy to announce that, and I'm really excited for what this year is going to bring. So
No,
that means you can come check me out February 24th, 25th, 26th here in Vegas, Sam Sound Live.
Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. I got you, Ross. I know you're in here.
That
And
part,
safe to
that part.
say, before we get into your goals for this year, because you mentioned some opponents already, I would assume you had a pretty good year with Impact and you were comfortable and you like it. So how was this past year coming back here at Impact and all the matches and everything you've done?
Well, it was, the very beginning of it kind of was a continuation of the end of another story, right? Like I came in with the Honor No More group, and it was a bunch of guys and girls that was feeling some kind of way about pro wrestling. I was feeling like, the fairy tales and the dreams that have been sold to a lot of pro wrestlers. Are just that, you know what I mean? Their dreams are fairy tales. So it was very comfortable for me to kind of come in with Mike Bennett and Vincent and Matt Taven and Maria and PCO, these and link back up with Eddie Edwards, this guy who I've known and we've been brothers for a long time. So it was a no-brainer. It was easy. And we had a hell of a year. I don't know more was the top act in Impact. for the most of the year. And then, you know, just like bands, great bands do, they break up and they go their own way. You know, Mike and Maria and Matt are an AEW, Vincent's doing his thing. So, you know, that was a good lead in to what I feel like I got going on this year.
Which will lead me into a big question. Is there a specific goal, or what are the goals for you with Impact coming in here in 2023?
The goals are to establish myself as not just a top guy, but the top guy. And I feel like the way that you have to do that is you have to start knocking off some of the top guys. So some of the guys that I mentioned are guys that I have to go through. And the ultimate goal, obviously, is the Impact World Championship. Josh Alexander's had it now. He's the longest reigning Impact World Champion. Dude seems to be unstoppable. But, you know, a lot of times things aren't always what they seem. So the idea is just to, you know, like I said, put string together, and get some scalps under my belt, and then knock Josh off the top.
And, you know, getting ready for this interview, you know, doing my research, watching a couple of your interviews with other people, specifically one person, one of the best in the business when it comes to combat sports, who also coincidentally lives here in Vegas, Andreas Hall. You guys had a good conversation, and he kind of talked to you about you being a mentor, and talking to some of the younger guys and just giving them advice. And I'm curious on that note, when was that first moment when you realized and you looked around and you were like, damn, I'm the OG now? Like, was there a specific moment?
I mean, it's not a specific moment, but it was a couple of years ago when uh, the Unk started.
Well put. Well
once
put.
once the Unks start, and I'm like, who Unk? Who? Ooh. And you know, you dapping up guys in the locker room, and you know, young guys coming in, and you know, it's I definitely feel like it started like the last couple of years of Ring of Honor, where um, you know, that was where the Unks came in, and you know, I train guys here in Vegas, so a lot of those guys are starting to come up and come into their own, and you know what I mean? Those conversations, hey, Unk, I just need to holler at you for a minute. I'm like, damn, I'm that guy, but you know what? It's all right. It's definitely all good to be that guy, because nobody gets anywhere in this business without having that guy to help them. So if that is where, you know, what my legacy leads to, man, then that's a great progression.
Well, I also want to say, like, big ups to you, because no matter what form of entertainment, hell, it doesn't even have to be entertainment. A lot of places just in life, like, people aren't necessarily that. And especially there's some people that act like it that aren't, and those are the worst. But I gotta ask you too, just being in the business for so long, 2022, 2023, without a doubt, whether it's in the ring anywhere or outside of the ring, probably some of the craziest years of professional wrestling history. And I know you in some group chats with some dudes. I just like want to ask you, where do you think the business is today as a whole?
The business is just in an interesting place, right? Um, it's from, I mean, just from 2019 to now, right, where the business seemed to be like, you know, if you were a talented guy, you could kind of just write your own ticket and do whatever. This is right before AEW pops off, and then COVID happens, and then I don't know what just happened to my. Okay,
No, you're
COVID
still good on
happens.
our end. You're still good
Okay,
on our
okay.
end.
COVID happens, and then the business grinds to a halt, and then all of a sudden there's a million sharks in the pool, and all that. But I think, you know, the good business is in a good place, right? Like you can't, we look at the numbers that the WWE keeps signing these deals for, and obviously the hunger for the sport fan wise hasn't died down at all. The indies are back. Like that's how you could really tell that the business was really popping in like 2018, 2019, because the indies were crazy. So the indies is really the kind of the lifeblood of it, and if the indies are overflowing, then everything was doing great. So the indies are coming back again. I mean, it's, you know, the business does this thing where it kind of cycles and shakes and moves, and it cycles and shakes and moves people in and out. So having been fortunate to be in this business a long time, I've seen and survived a bunch of these cycles and shakes. So I feel like the business is in a good place, though, as far as fans are loving what they're seeing from all different companies, and things are getting back to normal.
Well, and also, like, to that point, I kind of like, if I can compare it to hip hop, where now, because of the internet or whatever you want to call it, like, you could be a fan of super lyrics. You just want to listen to stuff that makes you sound like you in the club. Like, there's a million different types of things whatever you like, whatever sound you like or you want to hear, you can get it somewhere. And I think that's the same thing with wrestling, and just the access. People can make their own name without having to rely on such platforms and things like that, where you're making yourself. It's not because who you're attached to, which is more important, because you got to make it for yourself, because you could get let go in any minute. You got to stand on what you have. Um, and I know you made your announcement that you're resigning, but I also have an announcement too. So here we go. Sunday, February 26th at Sam Towns Live, I am making my wrestling debut of sorts.
Okay.
Apparently, Kenny, I'm being a manager for someone. Ross hasn't informed me yet. We don't know the details. I don't know if I'm gonna be a quote unquote good guy or quote unquote bad guy, but I need advice, because look, whatever I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do it the best. I'm not just out here to take a little Instagram picture so I can post on my feed. Like, I'm trying to make my impact. So what type of advice are you going to give me as I become a manager? Like, what do I got to do? Just give me some help, please.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? You already have a presence. You already have, you already have an idea of how to entertain and how to talk and how to have a certain amount of charisma. So you just have to figure out who you want to be as a manager, right? Who do you want to be? What type of organization do you want to represent? And how do you want to represent your client? Because once you're out there, as you're out there as a manager, you are representing your client in whatever certain way, right? Look at the way that Bobby the Brain Heenan, who's my top of all time. Look at the way Paul Heyman. They're all very different, but it's a similar approach. So who do you want to be? How do you want the people to interact with you, and really by proxy interact with your client?
Not Stokely's bald ass. I'm not trying to go for whatever he's got going on. All right, I'm gonna take that advice. I'm gonna be ready. February 26th, Ticketmaster.com. Get your tickets. I'm very excited, as you can tell. Before we get you out of here, gotta ask you about Jay Briscoe, but before we do that, we do a speed round around here. Just a quick hitter, ask you a whole bunch of questions, whatever comes to mind. So let's do this. First question. A woman will buy you one t-shirt and say your closet was empty when she met you. True or false?
True, true.
The
Or
craziest,
or that you couldn't dress before she met you.
which is like, why did you get with me if I couldn't dress anyway? Craziest
I
place you've
mean,
wrestled at.
the craziest place I've wrestled at. I mean, besides Madison Square Garden, outside of that, probably this was my first indie show back in Florida. This was maybe like 2005. I just moved back to Florida trying to make my name, and I'm driving. This is, oh man, so you might know where this is. This is out past Lutz, and I
Oh,
don't even.
you got to be careful what exit you take, bro. You got
You
to be
okay?
careful.
You feel me? You feel me? So out past Luke's, I wasn't quite sure where I was at, but I'm driving. I'm like, what is going on? And all of a sudden I see an auto garage. And I'm like, okay, well, and I drive up further and there's a ring in this auto garage. There's sheets drawn kind of sort of where the curtain in the back where the people would be getting dressed would be. And then there's chairs. And so I wrestled in a ring in an auto body garage in the damn the boondocks of Lutz County, Florida.
The Boondocks is the way you put it, but you need to spin it because it sounds like a background to a Def Jam Vendetta type scene. You know what I'm saying? In the body garage, somebody's got a speaker in the audience.
Nah. So okay, let's put it like this. Let's say it's like one of those you pull up to one of them old stool. Somebody Jethro's rocking on the porch, and you got to do your own gas. Yeah, it was one of those where the gas station still goes ding ding ding. The pump
Shout
rather goes
out,
ding.
shout out
So
to my
that's
Uncle
more like it.
Robert.
It wasn't Def Jam Vendetta. It was more West Florida hillbillies.
Shout out to my Uncle Robert, who told me if you guys ever turn in there, turn around immediately and get your ass back on the highway.
Yes.
Your favorite rapper of all time? It's a loaded question. I'm sorry.
That's a loaded question. Biggie's on my wall over there, but my favorite rapper of all time. Damn. I'm just gonna throw the conglomerate and say the Wu-Tang Clan.
There it is. Most underrated wrestler in the world right now.
Kenny King.
Have you ever eaten at Sonic before?
Yes.
Your biggest supporter in the wrestling business throughout your career?
Man.
Much love to everybody, though.
Yeah. No, like, so I will always say, man, like I said before, you never get anywhere without it if someone isn't that guy for you and someone who reaches out for you. So, um, I'll give that award to two people, right? Early on in my career, the person who was most influential and pushed me and dragged me and tried to bring me to my full potential was Roddy Strong. Shout out to Roddy. And now I think my biggest and I love him to death because he's just an amazing person. But my biggest cheerleader in the business right now is Caprice Coleman. So shout out to Caprice Coleman.
Do you ever look back on your reality TV show appearances and go, damn, I should have been on A Shot at Love with Tila Tequila?
No, not no. Of all the things I look back and think, that was not it.
If you had to pick one finger on both hands that you'd have to lose, which finger are you going with?
Maybe my ring on my right and the pinky on my left because I
No,
got.
it has to be it has to be both. So
Oh, the
it's the ring on
same.
both.
Let's go pinkies,
It's
right?
a smart call because people don't realize, like, unless you have a pop socket on your cell phone, you need the pinky to hold your phone. Also, if you're taking this one away, but if you're carrying a lot of groceries, you still got something with these two. And like you said, you can still play video games. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
our last speed round question. The MVP of Impact Wrestling in 2023, women's or men's, will be who?
Mm. I mean, obviously, I want to say me, but if things continue on the way that they are, then I'll have to say it's hands down Josh Alexander. If they continue, but I plan on making things different.
There it is, and I can't wait to see it in person. Sam's Town Live, February 24th. No surrender. Before we get out of here, kind of wanted to ask you this to ultimately kind of honor and talk about his legacy, but I think this is your first interview since Jay Briscoe's passed away. And obviously you guys have a long history. With the devastating news and everything, what's like one thing you want to tell the audience that, speaks on his legacy and what he'll be remembered for?
Uh, one joke is that uh, Jay Briscoe is the only Confederate flag that's ever been allowed in my house. Right, that's one. uh, but that is a straight up testament to who Jay Briscoe was. I just got back from the funeral this weekend, and it was all of those things, right? It was sad, but it was also very much a celebration of Jay. He was everything that he said he was. He was real. He was compassionate. He was a brother, a father, a son, a friend, a community legend. Like when you see how Laurel, Delaware showed out for that man, it just is just an indication. Everything that you've seen, everything that you've heard, the outpouring of support um, is just a testament to what an amazing person, wrestler, soul that Jay Briscoe was. His family, I mean, and all of that, I mean, where he came from, and the Briscoe family, the Pugh family, is just so inspiring during this time. Mark, Big Man, Granny, Jara, like Ash. Like, I mean, everybody in that family is just so is so being held up by their faith and so being so strong. I mean, like Mama Briscoe had the nerve to ask me how I was doing. I'm like, listen, I'm
This ain't
listen,
about me.
you know what I mean? Like, it's got nothing to do with me. And looking at Mark and how strong and how grounded in his faith he is, man, it's awe inspiring. So if he's fine, I got no reason, no business being anything but. But we all love Jay, and I will miss him. But he in a better place, and he up there right now, baby.
Yeah, rest in power. We carry on his legacy. That's what it's about.
All day.
And with that, Kenny, I want to say I appreciate the time, man. Looking forward to seeing you guys again one more time. No Surrender, February 24th. The Fallout Night 1, Night 2, an entire weekend at Sam's Towns Live. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. And congratulations on re-signing on Impact. Thanks for breaking the news with us, dog.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. I had to get a local boy some shine, you know?
We appreciate it. There it is.